Hey guys, BrotherClaw67 here, and I'm back for another Culture Compared to Gaming video. And last time I did Date Masamune, and this time Date Masamune from Real Life and Samurai Warriors. This time I'm doing the Cherry Blossom Festival, which is the gaming part is in Rune Factory Ties of Destiny. And in the original, obviously, is the National Cherry Blossom Festival. So I'm going to start with the real deal, the National Cherry Blossom Festival. So it celebrates the anniversary of 1912 when Mayor, and again I might pronounce these names wrong, so just bear with me. Mayor celebrates the anniversary of 1912 when Mayor Yukio Ozaki of Tokyo gave 3,000 cherry trees to the city of Washington, D.C., and it honors the lasting friendship between the U.S. and Japan, as well as encourages closer relationships between them. It took many people's coordination to ensure the arrival of the cherry trees. 2,000 trees arrived in 1910 as a first attempt to the whole transaction, but they were actually diseased. This was an accident, though, so it didn't necessarily, I don't know what the wording for that is, but it didn't, prevent the whole, I don't know. It didn't offend them, so they tried again. So between the governments of the two nations, between the coordination of Dr. Jokichi Takamine, and I guess, I don't know how, I'm sorry, probably pronouncing that wrong, who was a world-famous chemist in Japan, Dr. David Fairchild of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Eliza Skidmore, who's the first female board member of the National Geographic Society, and First Lady Helen Herron Taft. Between all those people and the governments and stuff, more than 3,000 trees arrived in Washington in 1912. On March 27th, 1912, in a simple ceremony, the First Lady and the Viscountess Chinda, who was the wife of the Japanese ambassador, planted the first two trees on the north bank of the tidal basin in the West Potomac Park. Yes. So over the years, many similar gifts, two in particular, exchanges have been made between the two countries. In 1915, the U.S. government returned the initial gift by flowering dogwood trees in Japan. And then in 1981, Japanese horticulturists, horticulture is the art or practice of garden management. So Japanese horticulturists were given cuttings from the trees, from the cherry trees in Washington, to replace some of the cherry trees that in Japan, which had been destroyed in a flood. So the actual festival itself takes place in Washington, D.C. It originated when a group of American school children reenacted the initial planting, as well as competing in other activities in 1927. Then festivities grew again in 1935, which was sponsored by civics groups in D.C. The festival was expanded to 2 weeks in 1994 to accommodate the diverse activity schedule during blooming period. I'm using so many big words, I don't know. I'm reading right off my notes. So 2012 was the 100-year anniversary, and to celebrate, it was extended to 5 weeks instead of the initial 16 days. There are various activities during the festival, such as a kite festival, a fireworks festival, and a parade, as well as enjoying traditional Japanese dishes. Okay, so depending on when you see the trees during the course of the weeks, you get a different experience, whether it be seeing the light pink of the blossoms budding, to the soft pink of the actual flowers, to the white of the petals falling. And that's my end of my notes for the actual real deal, and now we're going on to the Cherry Blossom Festival in Rune Factory. I want to say it actually takes place on the 6th or 7th of the game. Hold on. Yeah, I believe it takes place on the 7th of the game. 7th spring in Rune Factory Tides of Destiny. I actually originally figured that there was a Cherry Blossom Festival in all of the games, but apparently the only 2 games to have a festival similar to this are Rune Factory 2 and Rune Factory Tides of Destiny, also known as Oceans, depending on where you live. And technically, Rune Factory 2's is called the Flower Festival, and it's much different from the Cherry Blossom Festival. It's essentially an excuse to go on a date, or potentially 3, with whomever you choose of the townsfolk. I almost said islanders, because in Tides of Destiny, they're islands. Is an island. Anyway, immediately when you leave your house in Tides of Destiny on the Cherry Blossom Festival day, you immediately see the color of the trees, and they're at least pretty accurate. The flowers on the trees are a very soft pink, with the soft white petals falling along the path. The trees are actually only in the area of the island, but petals can still be seen falling lightly in the other areas of Zenith, which is the island that it takes place in. The only thing as a player you have to do on this day is talk to Odette, the resident chef and innkeeper, who has a request for you to collect cooking ingredients from the other islanders. Afterward, you're rewarded with either fried rice, potato salad, or French toast, depending on the game year, probably randomly assigned. And while fried rice is generally considered Japanese, the others aren't. However, I'm sure you can find some American food around DC during the festival either way. And also, I just started playing the game, and I spent the longest time before actually picking it up trying to find out why they celebrate it. And I had pretty much given up and made a recording of this, but I'm re-recording it. And then afterward, I had played the game, and according to the game, it's really uneventful as to the history as to why they celebrate the festival in the game. It's just simply to celebrate the coming of spring, which is weird because it's like somewhere in the middle of spring is when it takes place, which is weird. But that's kind of it. So as far as history goes, honestly, it's not very accurate. In the game, it's pretty much just a time of year for everybody to relax and enjoy the beautiful scenery, whereas in real life it has obviously a lot bigger meaning. As far as activities go, as far as what you'd see in the real life Cherry Blossom Festival, really the only thing you can do in the game as well is the food and probably the social aspect. This game really doesn't have much. The game doesn't have much else to do, especially compared to what you see in the real deal. Overall, it's pretty much what you would expect. Pretty much take a person who has never heard of the real life Cherry Blossom Festival and ask them what you'd probably do in one. That's honestly me before I did the research, and honestly, I assumed, and I assume other people assumed as well, that what you do in Tides of Destiny was pretty much what happened in real life. But again, I only did the research recently, so I didn't know that. I didn't know otherwise. I always assumed that there was a big historical value, but I never knew what it was. In the game, it's basically solely to look at flowers, but in real life, it's so much more symbolically as well as in actual festivities. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'm glad I got to make this a little bit shorter. I was doing editing for the Date Masamune one, and I felt like I rambled entirely too much, so I'm trying to do a better job of that. So let me know in the comments as to what you thought. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys next time for the next one.